I have spoken many times, and many of us have here about Waze. I love Waze. Waze is the app if you drive, especially in California. I use it constantly. It is so helpful. There was an interesting story, I mean, fascinating story in LA Magazine about Waze and what it's doing. And I mentioned this a while ago. I
You
had
did.
taken a random trip up to Los Angeles. And, I mean, I've lived up there for many years, so I know my way around and it's all arterially. And there's some shortcuts here and there, but traffic was horrible. It was 5 p.m., boom, Waze. And Waze is routing me through neighborhoods in Beverly Hills and up in the canyons that I've never been on. Weird little streets. Well, imagine that times 100,000. And you will imagine what is going on in Los Angeles as more people are trying to cut 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes off their commute by following Waze. And Waze is literally packing these side streets with cars because they're slightly faster than the arterial roads. And the people that live in these neighborhoods, to put it politely, they're shitting bricks. Because a lot of these, again, I went through little side streets in Beverly Hills and then up into the one side in the Hollywood Hills. These are not neighborhoods that are used to having a lot of traffic, nor do they enjoy it. They're well-off people and they've been making a lot of noise. And that is part of yeah, there you go. And I think I went up that street actually on my way to the Griffith Park Observatory. That is what they're seeing now. So Waze is, I hate to say that Waze is causing a problem because it's people using a product and following their directions, trying to save time in a commute. Is this Waze's fault?
Oh, it's not people. It's tens of thousands of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is if 5 people were to follow Waze, they'd be fine. But it's 50,000 that follow it through that neighborhood.
I used Waze all the time in Charleston to get around the crash derby that they seem to have every morning, and it would do the same thing. It would send me through. Hey, here's a trailer park. Go through there, make a left. You got it. Boom, you're at work. You've avoided an hour of just idiocracy. And so I continued this habit when I came to DC. And I found that I don't know if it was an update or if there's just that many more Tesla owners here, but the Tesla nav is actually saving me another 5 to 10 minutes over Waze. I actually run them both at the same time, and then I take the turn that Tesla says, and then Waze updates, and you see their time go down. They're like, yeah, this is a good way. So I don't know if that's something unique to the area or if I missed an update where they just suddenly got better. But it's the same concept, though, where these people don't expect you to be coming through, and they can't hear me unless it's like 1,000,000 degrees out, then they hear the fan.
But yeah, and Russell, you're exactly right. This is a fascinating article.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to read this. It's not a fast read. It is a long article, but there's a lot of really good stuff in here. But it is the fact, and it's mentioned several times, that is it the people or is it the technology? And what happens is you have people who are following the technology. If they knew better, maybe they wouldn't do it. But you have people who are just blindly following what Waze is telling them to do. So they don't realize that they're about to exit an interstate and get on this residential street, like that picture we saw up in the mountains with no curb and no sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's out walking their dog, and they talked about semis that are stranded or they're stuck on a hairpin turn because Waze said that's the faster route. Didn't take into consideration that the person driving the vehicle had a 80-foot semi and wouldn't be able to make that turn, and that person's just do. This is what Waze says to do, and now they're stuck and they're blocking traffic. And there was one reference in here. It's way too long for me to find, but during the wildfires, Someone said that Waze was telling them to drive into the wildfire because that would save them time.
Right.
If you got a fireproof car, that's the fastest way.
Right. Nobody's reporting the wildfire there. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and a lot of the article deals with the lack of communication between the city of Los Angeles and Waze, how they had a partnership. It wasn't super productive apparently for the city, so that ended. And I can sum up this problem, and it has nothing to do with Waze.
Right.
Too many cars.
Yes. Yes.
Too many cars. The solution is not better nav or more cooperation between the city and Waze. The solution is getting some of those cars off the road.
Tunnels.
That's the solution.
Tunnels.
Tunnels, oh my God.
So did they touch on what you brought up last time we touched on the subject, where some of the neighborhoods are reporting fake road closures and fake car crashes to try and keep it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the people are re-editing the maps to not include their streets at all, and then other people are going back in and putting the stuff back. I mean, and I get it. Like, some of it's just NIMBYism, and you know what? Like, it's okay if cars go by my house, but you don't want cars by your house. Well, damn, maybe vote for some more mass transit. You won't have that problem.
Right, right.
Musk tubes.
Yeah, and we talk about that so much, but part of the solution is mass transit and, affordable and desirable mass transit.
Come on, focus.
Yeah. Desirable, and then it has to run on a schedule that makes sense. I mean, so many of these American cities, the mass transit will run once every half hour, once every hour, once every 3 hours. If that's the only, you're not gonna get anybody out of the car with that. And if that's all you can afford, that's going to limit your job opportunities, your schooling opportunities, and just your ability to just run your day-to-day stuff.
This sort of dovetails in with the whole idea that mass transit is for poor people. And
it shouldn't be. It should not be.
It shouldn't be at all. But there are very few cities where that really isn't true.
Right.
San Francisco, New York are certainly two of them where lots of people use the mass transit. But we have to move past this thing where mass transit is for poor people.
Yeah, I would say I've traveled, and there's only like a few dozen countries in Europe where a lot of people take mass transit, and I say that tongue in cheek. Yeah, because Russell said there's only a few cities where that's true. I'm like, yeah, go to Europe, because I will leave work and go to the train platform, and there are hundreds of people from all socioeconomic backgrounds, and a lot of people in suits waiting for the train, some of them hopping on bikes to ride home. And there's like not everyone hops in a car to drive.
And then you've got cities like the one in Florida that just rip out their mass transit, the buses, and give you Uber tickets, which adds more cars to the road.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we don't want to go too old school and talk about the ripping up of the trolleys by General Motors.
Yeah. Which, I mean, LA at one time had this amazing light rail network.
Yeah.
Until the advent of the automobile. I really enjoyed riding the subway when I was up in LA for the auto show last November. It was a revelation because the last time I'd been there 20 years before, it didn't exist. There were bad buses and that was it. And by bad buses, like what Casey's saying, like once every 3 hours, maybe a bus comes by. Maybe.
You better hope he's not on break or missed it for some reason.
Yeah, it's just the bus system in LA was horrible, but LA's made some good steps and they need to make more. They need to build that light rail into the valley over the 405. And you know what? If somebody had balls, and unfortunately no one has balls this big, but they'd kill the middle two lanes on each side of the 405 and put the light rail right there. But
like here in DC, they've got the express lane. It runs even further than it did when I was a kid. You can pay anywhere from $5 to $50 to get there a little bit faster. Put something in there. I mean, something that everybody can use.
I
Right.
love the idea
So
of the light rail in the middle of the road because that just reinforces during rush hour
You can see
that
them
these
zipping on
people are
by.
moving faster, and
Oh, yeah.
they're unimpeded by traffic, and you're sitting there pulling your hair out waiting for the traffic to move.
And then you
there
can
are
ask them more.
several instances of this in Chicago where you have the interstates, on either side and the trains zipping by. You're sitting in traffic and you might watch 4 trains, heading in your direction, zip by, and you haven't even traveled a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we're around the corner from the VRU station. That helps a little bit. Georgia's got BARDA, which is terrible, but it works for those people that they're on the path. It's just it seems that they know what to do, but they just don't, like you said, they don't have the guts to do it right.